Less than 1 in 5 women ask for a pay rise without being prompted to do so, according to the Human Rights Commission. And the average woman, not that I'm calling you average by any means, has to work an extra 56 days a year in order to earn as much as a man doing the same job. And yes, there's a lot of factors that impact this. There's upbringing, culture, unconscious bias, confidence. And these impacts are real, but you know what? You want to put yourself into a position to get a pay rise, you are a hell of a lot more likely to get it by having the conversation than you are by hoping it will magically appear in your bank account and then being pissed off when it doesn't. Ouch. So today I'm sharing with you what I wish I'd known about getting a pay rise way earlier in my career. To have you on the fast track, to be having your pay rise conversations with your manager today. What I wish I'd known about getting a pay rise, number 1, you need to have the conversation. Yes, I know. Of course, it sounds like a no-brainer, but you need to be having these conversations. As a coach to professional female leaders, I often hear people talk about the fact that they would prefer to leave these pay decisions up to their bosses and their managers, or to just go with whatever's offered, even if they're not happy with it. So what's that really about? The most common reasons that women don't ask for pay rises is, at the moment, the fear of asking too much in a difficult economy. Now that can be a very valid point, but not all industries are having difficulty right now. I was talking to a client about this last week, and she was saying that she felt bad about talking to her manager about a pay rise at her up-and-coming performance review because of COVID. Interestingly, we had just been talking about how she had totally nailed her KPIs and how the business she works with had had their biggest year yet. Another reason we don't ask is because of lack of confidence. Lack of confidence is talked about so often as a very good reason to not do something. But you know, when you build confidence, you only ever build confidence by doing the thing that's uncomfortable for you. You never build confidence by sitting at your desk procrastinating. If you're telling yourself that confidence is an issue for you, then after you watch this video, go to my website, joewiseleadership.com. Go to the Get Inspired section and watch my videos on confidence that will help you move past those issues. I'll also pop the link in below for you. Now, of course, you want to be thoughtful about when and how you're having these pay conversations. But a study by Randstad of over 1,200 people said that 60% of women say they've never negotiated their pay. 60% are not even having these conversations. But what I found super interesting about this is paired with the fact that 72% say that they would leave an employer to get a higher salary. Now look, I'm all for leaving a crappy job that doesn't value you. But if you are thinking about leaving a job to get a higher salary and you have not had the conversation to ask for a pay rise in your current role, you are making your life so much harder than it needs to be. So maybe have the conversation. Look, of course, there's no guarantees you're going to get it, but you're going to be a hell of a lot closer than you would have if you didn't ask at all, aren't you? What I wish I'd known about getting a pay rise, number 2. Discomfort is not a reason not to have a pay conversation. Leadership and tough conversations go hand in hand, right? Throw money into the mix and many people get super weirded out. On top of that, businesses encourage and sometimes even dictate people are not allowed to discuss pay at work. When I worked at American Express, it was in our contracts to not talk about pay with colleagues because it upsets people. But honestly, the only people that benefit from not discussing pay is the business because they can get away with not paying people equally. The fact that it's frowned upon to talk about pay at work adds to the discomfort and the anxiety because we don't really have a window to see how others are having these conversations. So how do we know what's normal, accepted, or okay? That's why we need to be having these conversations more often. What I wish I'd known about getting a pay rise, number 3, you are a role model. As a female leader, whether you believe it or not, you're a role model. And by you normalizing pay conversations through having them and by talking about them, you can personally impact reducing the gender pay gap in Australia. Currently, Australia's national gender pay gap is 14.2% in 2020. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. But let's look at what that actually means to your hip pocket according to the Australian Workplace Gender Equality Agency. A woman's average weekly ordinary full-time earnings across all industries and occupations is $261 less than a man. That is about $13,500 a year. What could you do with $13,500 per year extra? Probably a lot. And over your work life, These conversations count, and the sooner and the more often you're having them, the quicker you can turn this around for you and those around you. People are watching you, and when you're courageous and bold, people take note. When you're having open discussions and share your vulnerabilities and wins, they pay attention. What I wish I'd known about getting a pay rise. Number 4, your self-worth is not on the table. The world that we live in wants you to believe that your self-worth is determined by outside forces, because then you've got to buy more stuff to fill the gap. Right? But the truth is, your worth is not determined by what you're paid, by what others think of you, nor by the things that you have or haven't accomplished. Self-worth only comes from the inside. It's how you value yourself. Now, whether you get the pay rise or not, whether you have the conversation or not about your pay, your self-worth is not on the table, okay? And I want to say one more thing on this. Whilst self-worth is not determined by what you're paid, that is a fact. I want you to realize that it will have an impact on your willingness to have the conversation or not, to think you're worth it or not, to think you add that value or not. When you value yourself and the value you bring to the workplace, you're more likely to ask for a pay rise because you believe that you're worth it. And you are worth it, aren't you? It is time for you to take charge of your salary conversation and put yourself into a position that you know you're ready for. So let me know which of these 4 points resonated most with you in the comments below. Hey, now you made it this far. I want you to go and watch the next video where I teach you how great leaders prepare for tough conversations, where I'm going to run you through exactly how to set up for a tough conversation. Now, this is going to help you prepare for pay conversations too, of course. I can't wait to see you there and help you out some more. See you there.